course we have to talk about COVID. There's a story covered by Politico that puts it in a perspective that a lot of what has been happening with COVID all around the world has been political. Now, for me, to my audience, that sounds like a no shit statement, because it is, to be fair. But we have to account for the brainlets that feel as if everything that has been coming from or everything that has been, let's say, done in the name of COVID has been something that has been rooted in only science, only health, and only caring about other people. That couldn't be anything further from the truth. Now, we can take a bunch of angles with this. Pfizer's, their long list and history of jacking up settlements and all of that. So pharmaceutical companies, politicians and what they have to gain in terms of power. That doesn't seem like you're going to get back. Like in terms of them taking away, or rather not taking away, impeding upon your rights. A lot of people have a lot to gain with COVID being a thing and being perpetuated. But we have to account for the brandless. So, according to Politico, which we're gonna watch this, or rather read this together. It's an article that kind of talks about everything with that's going on with Biden and the FDA. Let's read it just real quick. It'll make sense once we go through it. Biden's top-down booster plan sparks anger at the FDA. Acting FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock sent a memo Tuesday evening to vaccine regulators, reiterating her support as frustration over the process spreads within their ranks. So what does that mean? Let's read it. The Biden administration's decisions over when to administer coronavirus vaccine boosters are triggering turmoil within the Food and Drug Administration. That's the FDA. Frustrating regulators and sparking fear that political pressures will once again override the agency's expertise. FDA officials are scrambling to collect and analyze data that clearly demonstrates the boosters' benefits before the administration's September 20 deadline for rolling them out. Many outside experts and some within the agency see uncomfortable similarities between Biden's team's top-down booster plan and former President Donald Trump. What the fuck does he? All right. Attempts to goad, of course, the FDA into accelerating its initial authorization process for COVID-19 vaccines and push through unproven virus treatments. So just for perspective, what's happening right now is that Biden has his idea and his team of experts, some within the health industry, for political purposes and political reasons. They want some shit rushed out there, right? And look, I'm the first fan of cutting red tape, right? I've even mentioned this with COVID. Not everything needs to go through, has to be gone through like the government's approval. The FDA is a crooked, corrupt institution, just like the fuck CDC. Okay, make no mistake. But what we're having here is the political chess game right now, and that's that Biden is saying, okay, we need to make this happen on this date, or his administration is, or whoever his handler is. The FDA is saying, well, shit, we can't even really prove that shit is necessary, or like, let's say, like without a shadow of a doubt, that this is for sure the more healthier plan, or rather this is for sure beneficial to us. Let us go through this is more so what they're saying. But the Biden administration kind of has more of an ultimatum there with how they're rolling out these boosters. And here he goes. And we saw this. I didn't talk about this, but I meant to. On Tuesday, 2 top FDA vaccine regulators quit. A decision that former officials said was rooted in anger over the agency's lack of autonomy in booster planning so far. So basically, like, we can't do what we want. We kind of have to operate based on what the rest of the federal government, or rather the presidents, and what they want. and we're not able to operate as our own individual agency, and therefore there's a problem. Like I say, I'm not here to back the FDA by any means. They're corrupt and have historically been that. It just goes to show that this is exactly what's been going on. It says a current health official said the pair, Marion Gruber and Philip Cross, left over differences with the FDA's top vaccine official, Peter Marks. Now the agency is facing a potential mutiny of among its staff and outside vaccine advisors, so people outside the FDA, several of whom feel cut out of key decisions and who view the plan of offering boosters to all adults as premature and unnecessary. Now, again, this is Politico, by the way. These are the guys that you would tell me to listen to anyway. But seriously, this is saying that there's people that were within the FDA, in and out the FDA, and there's a conversation being had about these fucking booster shots that they telling y'all to line up to get. And there's actual experts who are saying that maybe it's either premature, it's too early for this shit to dictate if this is something that we need to do. Also, it may be unnecessary. There's a dispute being had right now, even among their own officials, which is why it was always hilarious that people would just trust the science and then walk away from the conversation as if they said something that was profound. It's not that profound at all. You think that people don't disagree? You think that just there's no, let's say, impact, side effects to come that maybe we don't know about because it hasn't gone through the long testing periods? Either way, trials. But you don't think among the experts there isn't disagreement? Of course there is. Politico spoke to 11 current and former health officials and people familiar with the matter who described growing exasperation, with the administration's disjointed process for implementing its booster plan. Those sources said there is a little coordination between the federal health agencies, even as top FDA officials try to guide the rollout. We understand. This is what they're saying. We understand the importance of additional vaccine doses for control of this pandemic and will move rapidly as possible to evaluate all submissions. Responding to this pandemic requires an all-government approach. I disagree with that, but that's neither here nor there. This is what the FDA spokesperson told Politico. FDA has and will continue to make regulatory decisions, and the CDC says will continue to make clinical recommendations. Acting FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock sent out a memo evening to vaccine regulators, reiterating her support as frustration over the process spreads within their ranks. The issues are complex and the days are long, but please know the work you all have done to date will continue to do in the weeks and months ahead, and will hopefully one day allow us to fully put COVID-19 behind us and better prepare us for future challenges. This is interesting. President Joe Biden's COVID-19 czar Jeff Zients, I don't know, something like that, backed up FDA as the regulatory gold standard in Tuesday briefing. Says the booster decision was made by and announced by the nation's lead public officials, and as our medical experts laid out, having reviewed all the available data, it is their clinical judgment that it's time to prepare Americans for a booster shot. We announced our approach, stay ahead of the virus, and be transparent with on the latest data. But the tensions between FDA regulators and top Biden administration officials, including Woodcock, who has publicly endorsed a booster plan, come as the agency begins to tackle the most difficult decision yet on COVID-19 shots. Many center around making them available for children under 12, which is criminal, by the way, whose bodies react differently to the virus and vaccines to prevent it. FDA will have to decide whether the rising number of cases in kids warrants making shots available for them on an emergency basis before the lengthier approval process, which is more likely to detect any rare side effects. So basically, roll the shit out. We know that the FDA, we know that this isn't even going to go through the proper trials, but fucking roll the shit out anyway. Roll it out anyway. I know us looking at it right now with the data that's available. It's probably not going to get all the good, like the side effects, much like we saw with the myocarditis and pericarditis with like the injection initially and the heart inflammation and all that stuff. They didn't catch that early on. It's almost if you go through rigorous testing, you get all of that. So basically what's happening right now is that there are people within the FDA that are arguing with each other and that are frustrated with the pressure that obviously FDA has their own handlers who would do whatever the government, or rather the like Biden administration, would tell them to do. So at that point, it's about political expedience as opposed to science. There are people within the FDA that, of course, disagree with that approach because they look at it like, well, this is why they quit. There's pressure coming from them, and now we're going to make a decision based on that pressure. This is alarming. When two top officials basically resign for that reason, this should be an alarming thing, right? Because maybe those were the ones with integrity. I don't know. Maybe they thought they were in it to do something good, finds out the corruption of the federal government, and now they're like, well, wait the fuck. I'm not going to sign I can't be a part of this shit, right? And this is why you have this Woodcock chick saying it, what it is she's saying. Look, I've been told y'all before. We've covered a bunch of them. This vaccine thing, to act like there's just been a unanimous decision as far as, even with the booster shots, like as far as what is the most conducive thing to do, is nonsense. And because that's nonsense, we've seen doctors disagree. We've seen people that are familiar with virology and vaccines that have disagreed with the approach. To act like a person looks at that, or more so gaslight, acting as if they're crazy, to look at all of this that's going on and to say, I don't know if that's for me. I don't think I want to inject that in my body. To act like that person is being irrational is fucking nonsense. So I'm going to keep covering these stories because it tells a larger picture that generally this type of story gets buried mainstream and you don't ever see it because we're supposed to believe that, well, it's only one opinion. There's no sort of differing opinions. There's not any disagreement. It's just unanimous. And the science trademark is just that. That's horseshit. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.